Do you guys want to see how nasty these people are, by the way? By you could have ever chosen, this video has single-handedly reversed my long-standing support for AI. I now stand for total AI artist death, Butlerian jihad against the godless AI now. Damn, that escalated very, very quickly. It's incredible, like, how violent these people are. You ever think about it? Like, dude, I feel like the more nice guy, the more we wanna, like, you know, we wanna save people and stuff, like, dude, the more they're fucking vile. It's actually incredible, man. Like, it really is. Yeah, it's just so weird. It's like, I've always found this to be quite an interesting what's the word I'm looking for? Indicator. It's an interesting indicator that basically the more virtue signaling they are, the more like care, like, oh, I care about like this and that, the more they're like that, and the more they're like, I'm so nice, like I'm standing up for like people, the more they're like that, the more violent they are. The more that they say that the more that they claim that they're fighting against racism, the more racist they are. It's actually so weird. It's like it's quite an interesting phenomenon, and like I feel like this is more recent. This is like from like the last 10 years, you know? Like, I don't remember it being quite this bad. Like, I mean, projection has always existed, right? But it's never been like to this level where it's like such an indicator now. It's like the instant somebody says to me that they're like a nice person, it's like I already know that they're a bad person. It's like it's almost always the direct opposite. And it's quite interesting. How's the video? All the videos, the one to be the problem. There's actually disgusting AI out there, but the song and the things they single out. Weirdest one of my favorite videos, says Dragon Master CJ. Well, okay. I don't want to give away too much, guys. I don't want to give away too much because, like, I have a debate on Tuesday. I have a debate on Tuesday with another VTuber about AI. So we're gonna do a live debate. That's gonna be at 8 a.m. Central. But yeah, like I've been preparing for the debate, so it's like I'm pretty ready. I think there's no moderator unless we could find one. I don't know if anybody knows a moderator that wants to do it. I'm down to invite a moderator. I'm fine with that. I'm totally open to being wrong about it. I just don't think I'm wrong. Does that make sense? Maybe I am wrong. I don't know. I think there's some pretty interesting arguments you can make against AI. It's just, I don't think anyone's willing to make them, to be honest. Because the instant you start making, probably the biggest one you could use is one of it being bad for the state of humanity, automation. But then once you make that argument, then that argument includes things like, it's a basically full Amish argument, basically. You'd have to go full Amish, basically, to make the argument. I don't actually think it's a bad argument. I think it's a pretty good one. You could say that perhaps for humanity, it's better to like kind of live in the way that the Amish do. That's better for like morality, social cohesion. It's better quality of life. Like, you can make all of these arguments. And I think that's the strongest case against AI, personally. The argument against it is Wall-E. Yeah, but see that, but again, you'd also have to be against automation, right? So it would be like the same thing, right? It goes back to the like you would have to apply the same thing to all future automation, not just AI, right? So your actual argument wouldn't be specifically against AI, it'd be against automation, because otherwise you're just cherry picking like which one you want to, like, philosophically you're just cherry picking at that point, right? Because you have to like kind of break down like what you believe, and like you have to find the root of like why you believe that thing, and then right, because then otherwise people can just dig up your beliefs, basically. Nobody shed a tear for the candlestick maker. I mean, guys, I'm old enough to remember people saying, why don't you just learn the code? Just learn the code! Learn the code, fools! That wasn't that long ago. That's why I find all of this to be ridiculous. I just think it's just self-serving and ridiculous. There's no like fucking there's no standard. There's no consistency in the argument. They put all of this like nice facade on it. It's because of the soul and like art is like this beautiful thing, and like they like put all this thing up. They put this fucking like you know, this cardboard ass building around it, and when you tear it all down, it all ends with, what I like good, what bad for me bad. That's literally the entire argument. When you like tear everything down, you systematically deconstruct it all the way to its foundation. It's just what good for me good, what bad for me very bad. And I just don't think that's a good moral groundwork to have. I'm completely open to a good AI, anti-AI argument. I'm fine with it. And again, like I said, if somebody went full Amish on me, I'd be like, okay, man, fair enough, fair enough, fair enough. That's a pretty good argument. I think it's a good argument. I think you could make that argument, and then you would have to. It would be like, now it would be a battle of like ideas, right? It would be a battle of like, well, technology gives us these things, like, you know, healthcare gives us, you know, gives us like accelerated progression and stuff. We can reach like bigger heights. We can reach bigger heights, do more in our lives because of technology. And then the Amish person would then argue like, well, what does that matter? Because all that matters is that you live a fulfilling life. Do you see what I mean? Like, it turns into like a philosophical argument. Whereas like the argument from the position of like Majobs or like Masol, those arguments that they make are deconstructible completely to like where like you can deconstruct down to contradiction. Does that make sense? Or it becomes a complete ego argument. We need to embrace technology and realize the faster we do, the faster we get to Star Trek. Yeah, see, and that's the paradox. That's the contradiction. Is how can you be against AI if you're a commie? It doesn't make any sense to me. It's like like if your intent is to reach a Starfleet level of like everybody does exactly what we want because we have everything, guys. The way that you get there is through AI. What are you talking about? That's the best way to get to what you want. I just don't understand it. Like if I were a commie, if my entire angle was like, I hate this world of scarcity. We need to reach a world where everybody has everything. And like the problems of people being born into like a better position, like having money at the start, the uneven playing field. I want to solve that problem. AI is how you solve that problem. In fact, that's the only case in which I would be forced to agree to a UBI. Exactly, UBI. That's the only way that you could get me to agree to UBI, basically. And like any sort of entitlements is like, if like it's so, the reason why is because you would get to a point, and you know, this does raise a lot of other issues. Like this, you know, guys, I understand this raises a lot of moral questions and a lot of questions as to the psychology of humans and like how this could possibly affect the psychology of humans. And like I totally agree, that's a completely different thing. But what I'm saying is just logically, when you arrive to a point where the first person can create a self-replicating robot, then they would own everything at that point. And it would be a matter of time, basically. I honestly think AI is going to fizzle out beyond hardline limitations, or it's going to break beyond usability, unchecked and byproduct of these rapid advancements. I don't know. You know, I don't know enough about the technology around it there, because I don't know much about the limits and like how far we are to the limits of like AI. It seems like AI is still expanding right now. I know like when it comes to computing though, we are reaching like the theoretical limits, physical limitations of like traditional computing. Thank you for the bits. I went to art school. Mistaken conversation for another time. But there's so much ego, self-centeredness, narcissism, and ideological gatekeeping and curating. Those are the AI people pissing me off. The people AI is pissing off the most, and I'm here for it. You know, it is kind of interesting. And I wonder if that just has to do with the... I'm like a firm believer that people are born with specific stats, and like there is an ideal like function that they could have based on whatever their attributes and their attributes and their talents and their affinities lay. And I think it is kind of interesting to think like, do those mental traits that you mentioned, are those the ones that actually lead people to being like going that route of art? Like, I don't know. But the thing is, see, I know a lot of artists that are very humble. They're very, very humble. Like, they're down to earth people. Ace, thank you so much for the bits. It's legit obnoxious now. The fact that anyone ever sees or hear this was made AI, they instantly go, oh my God, they're taking over. Hate, it's terrible. Has no outward. Well, the problem lies in the definition, Ace, in the definition of art. And I don't think people are actually, like, people are not good at defining it. Like, what is art? What is art even, right? Like if you were to say that like an AI art isn't art, well then what is art? Because you want to know what I think? Like actually, I don't actually think all traditional art is art, and I don't even think. And by saying that, I also don't believe that all AI art is art. I think art is divorced from the product. I think that what we consider to be art, you know, the problem is that art is not only a physical term, but also like a kind of metaphysical term. So it's like it's kind of hard to like actually. You get confused talking about it, right? Because art refers to like the actual physical like thing, and it also refers to like the the elevation of it into like some kind of divine thing, right? And the problem with that is art has two different functions. There's the function of art in terms of it being something that is art's first function can be a thing of communication, a thing of feeling, emotion, something that encapsulates a feeling, and then it's like the crystallization of like an idea, basically, is the best way to explain it. It's not like it has the effect of like being like, this is a thing a person thought at this time, and this is the emotions, the thoughts, like all of that stuff crystallized into like one object. That's what like art could be, right? But the thing is in the reverse, right? In the reverse, right? Because when an artist will take a thing and be like, this is how I feel, this is how I think, this is the message, and they would crystallize it into like a thing, right? So now you have like a physical object, right? But the problem is now you have the second person who now views that art and decrystallizes it into like their own meaning. Does that make sense? So like in essence, what art is really is communication, right? Does that make sense what I'm saying? However, art has another function, okay? And that function is purely, so like an illustration could have a purely utility function, utilitarian function as well, right? So like, I'll give you a good example. Say I'm a company and I need a logo, and I need that logo to like attract the most amount of people possible. I need like, I don't give a shit what the logo looks like. I don't care. Just make it like fucking maximum blown out. Give it maximum saturation. I need it to be like, when a person sees it, they like instantly become addicted to our brand. And do you see how that's like that's a utility thing? There's nothing communicative about it, right? And sometimes things are a little bit of both. Sometimes things are both the communication and they're also the utility. They're like, sometimes they're like kind of in the middle. And that's my point, is that AI can be either or both. AI could be something that you make and it's total shit. It's non-marketable. Nobody cares about it, but it has a profound message. And AI could also be something that is total, like, I just made this because I need a thumbnail for my video and I need people to look at it. I need as many eyes to like see this as possible. This is like purely business decision, and I need this thumbnail specifically to attract people to my product. So it's a purely utility, right? And then there's things that are in the middle. And I think people are incapable of like kind of like, I guess, raising their perspective to like actually see that it's more than just one or the other. Does that make sense what I'm trying to say? So like a meme, this is the funny thing. I think a meme is actually one of the most of back in the day. The original memes were purely communicative, right? They were purely communicative. There was no money to be made from memes, right? Nothing. So the original memes were actually the most communicative. They were meant to evoke meaning and evoke emotion. That's what memes were for. But anyway, that's my point on it, right? And I think a lot of people, they have trouble like making that distinction, that like AI is just another paintbrush, and it's another paintbrush, and that paintbrush can be, because I don't think that effort, I'm like giving away my whole fucking debate argument, by the way. So I hope that guy's watching this so that he can fucking counter all my points right now before I get to Tuesday. He can give me the worst case scenario where he knows all my points already and he like basically counters it. But my point is that the like a paintbrush, right? For instance, it's just a thing. It doesn't think or feel. The thing that thinks or feels is the person using the paintbrush. And I just think that AI is another paintbrush. I don't think that effort and time are an indicator. They're not a necessary element in whether or not something is art. I think it's retarded. And I can prove that right now. If an artist says, I'm making this art piece, and they fucking spend the entire day, they'd spend the entire first day jacking off, the entire second day jacking off, the third day they're scrolling on X, fourth day they're playing a video game, fifth day they're jacking off, sixth day they go out with their friends and they're not really doing anything. And then on the seventh day, on the last hour, they draw a thing. Why does that matter? Do you see what I mean? Like, why does all of that time spent matter? Because they would say, well, I spent a week, it took me a week to make this thing. I was working on it for a week, but they were just being lazy the entire time. How does that have anything to do with anything? Some guy says, I feel called out. Well, I mean, I don't know. Basically, my plan is to just systematically dismantle every single fucking thing about AI. Because I don't actually think all AI, and this is a straw man that a lot of people like push on me. I actually don't think that all AI stuff is art. In the same way, I don't think that all physically handmade stuff is art either. I don't think so either. So yeah, I think whether or not a thing is art is not even, has nothing to do with AI. I don't think AI is even involved in that. And AI is literally just another paintbrush. It's another camera. It's another any of that thing. That's all AI is. If writing is art, why is writing a prompt to an AI not art? The generated content still to convey a message in your head. So, and this might be something that people don't understand because I feel like a lot of the people who are anti-AI have never used AI before, because the way AI works, right? And sure, AI does have an element of RNG to it, obviously, right? Because, yeah. But the way that AI works is you tell it, it does exactly what you tell it to in the same way a paintbrush does, right? And the thing is, it's just a much more robust version of a paintbrush where you can say, make an anime girl and it would do it. But, and that in of itself would not be art. The only artistic quality of it, it's not a binary, right? Like the only artistic quality of it is that you wanted an anime girl. That's the only message it conveys, right? Now, if you were to change that a little bit and you were to say, okay, well, she needs to be on like, and this could be like as deep as you want it to be. Like you can actually like wireframe stuff. I did that for a couple things where I wireframed it using, a lot of people use like online figures to wireframe the poses so that they could then have the AI like use that as a scaffold basically for building it. And you want to know what's actually really fucking interesting, chat? Because there's actually a case here that is going to be really, really wild. And I was actually saving this, but you know what? I'll tell you guys anyway. Did you know that just yesterday, 2 days ago, they announced a new AI and it's going to be open source soon. So everyone will be able to use it. That connects to your fucking brain. You guys know about that? They have created an AI where you can put like a, whatever the thing that reads the electrical impulses in your brain, uses that as a prompt, and then makes exactly what you're thinking. No, it's not Neuralink. It's like just like those sensors. It's like the sensors you put on your head. Yeah, it's crazy. You and you guys want to see it? I mean, I can show you. I'm probably gonna bring this up in the debate, by the way. So all that matters is this middle part. So only look at the middle part. So the subject was told to look at an image. And then the AI basically used the brainwaves to create the image on the right. So like see this one that says brain IT on the right. This is the image that it came up with. The one on the left is the photo that the person was looking at. And you can see like it's pretty good. Can you imagine putting this on like on like a person from X, like these people on X, and it's just filled with gooning. It's like they put it on you and they're like, all right, let's see what's in your head. And it's just like fucking porn picture, like all the way down. That'd be fucking hilarious, actually. It sounds really fucking dystopian, though. I'm not gonna lie. That's kind of weird. It is a little weird. I admit it's a little weird. But I'm just saying that like that's possible. So then in that case, if the entire concept of the image was something pulled from your mind and the prompt is your brainwaves, is that art? Right? That's a pretty good one, right? Like, because the input was specifically what you had in your mind. So this is actually why Ultron wanted to destroy humanity, dude. Probably, dude. Probably. So I've seen an animator use AI to animate one of her drawings, then get criticized by a guy who draws furry porn. Dude, like every time, dude, like there's like a 50% rate that a person that is unhinged on Twitter and is like, those people that are like, oh my god, like this is the worst, like you're a Nazi, bigot, homophobe. There's like a 50% chance that they're a fucking absolute gooner on their mains. And I've done this like kind of just out of personal enjoyment, where like anytime somebody gives me shit, I always like look up their account. I'm just like, oh yeah, of course, of course. I actually replied to it one time. Hold on, I had the reply one time. Let me see if I can find it. Yo, chat, look at this. Oh my god, trans race is real now, guys. Literally me. Take a break from X. No, to be honest though, I'm having a good time. I'm just being real. Like I'm memeing a bit. I'm actually having a great time. I'm having a great time because like I don't care anymore. Like it doesn't really affect me. It doesn't affect. The only way it affects me is that it makes me laugh too hard. Basically, because it's actually like, it's incredible. It makes me believe less in democracy. You know, though, I do think that one thing that is kind of annoying, and I do have to agree with some of the AI antis on this, is that there are some people basically that they how do I explain it? they do kind of the same thing where they act like their AI art is so much more elevated than like handmade art, and it's cringe as well. So that is like one criticism I do have from it, but that's a very small percentage of people in like the AI art community. There's not that many people that do that. But it is a thing. It is definitely a thing. Yeah. But yeah, I'm expecting a lot of arguments, but my entire like strat is to just try to keep things on topic. If I can like prevent myself from getting derailed, I think I'll win on a logical basis as long as I keep things from being derailed. The idea for me is a symbiotic relationship between AI and artists, so that they can get benefits while not getting replaced. Yes, I agree. I mean, I agree with that, Sonic. I've always agreed with that. And the thing is I'm gonna be real, and this might sound a little fucked up, but I honestly don't think the replacement aspect has anything to do with it. The economical replacement aspect and angle has nothing to do with the philosophy of like whether or not it counts as an artistic endeavor. It has nothing to do with it. And we always try to bring in, and this is what I meant about being derailed, is that the ethics, because you can make art that is unethical, correct? Art, whether or not something is art and whether or not something is unethical, are actually completely different things. Yeah. And that's another thing that people have trouble like separating, but it's obviously true. For me, it's all about, again, it's all about like foundations. Like what are the actual foundations of the belief, and what is the actual definition of the thing? It's very Socratic, basically. My how I think about things. No, they are not an artist, they are a director. That's actually going to be a very interesting point, because if you can concede and say directors are not artists, then you have some ground. The instant you say directors are artists, you lose all of the ground, basically. If you're anti-AI, that's like a huge fucking pivot right there. Like that basically is like the weakest point of your argument, basically, I think. Because if you say directors are artists, then you agree that the original or origin source doesn't have to be from the person who made it. Because the director doesn't actually create the pieces, they arrange the pieces. Does that make sense? They don't create each individual piece within the scene, but they create the scene, which is the composition. In which case, like, if you can make that argument, then what's the difference between that and AI, basically, right? And obviously, like, you can say that like a director sucks and is not very artistic because he literally just threw everything on a scene and he was bad at it. That doesn't mean, if a person is bad at a specific thing, doesn't mean that the thing can't be good. Anyway, I don't want to talk about this anymore.